Please subscribe to my channel. It happened during a family gathering at my sister's home. A night buzzing with laughter, overlapping voices, and the warmth of being surrounded by relatives. I had always been known as the witty one, quick to throw in a playful remark, even if it occasionally pushed the line. That evening, as we all sat around the dinner table, I fell into that familiar role without much thought. With a teasing grin, I joked about trading in my husband if anyone happened to be interested. To me, it was nothing serious, just a lighthearted jab meant to spark some chuckles. The reaction, however, was far from what I expected. Laughter spread across the table, and everyone looked toward my husband, waiting for his usual comeback, maybe a shy smile or a sarcastic quip to balance mine. Instead, he leaned back slightly, scanned the room with steady eyes, and finally fixed his gaze on me. When he spoke, his voice was calm, almost too calm, yet edged with something sharp, as though the words had been waiting inside him for far too long. "Maybe you should," he said evenly, "because maybe then someone might actually value me more than you do." The air in the room shifted in an instant. The laughter stopped, forks hovered in midair, and my smile slipped away. He had never been the type to raise his voice or lash out, but those quiet words cut deeper than any shout ever could. Silence settled over us like a heavy blanket. My sister dropped her gaze, cousins shuffled awkwardly in their seats, and even my father cleared his throat, trying to break the tension. But nothing could soften the weight of what he had just revealed. I wanted to laugh it off, to pretend it was nothing more than another joke, but his eyes stopped me. They weren't angry. They were filled with something far worse, disappointment. In that moment, I finally realized what I had ignored for years. Every careless remark, every offhand jab at his expense had been piling up, and now the weight of it all came crashing down. His reply wasn't a retort. It was a mirror, showing me just how little respect I had shown him without ever noticing. The night dragged on, but the cheerful atmosphere was gone. Conversations were muted, laughter forced. Later, on the drive home, I tried to explain myself, to make it sound like nothing serious. I even attempted another joke, but his silence swallowed my words whole. That silence spoke louder than any argument ever could. As I lay awake that night, his calm but cutting statement replayed in my head over and over, echoing with more force than 1,000 angry shouts. It wasn't anger he had given me, it was quiet revenge, and it pierced deeper than any confrontation. The days that followed made the impact clearer. Whispers spread within the family, though no one said anything directly to me. I noticed how relatives who once laughed freely at my jokes now approached me more cautiously. Yet when they spoke to him, their tones softened with admiration and respect. It was as though his single response had uncovered a truth they had long sensed but never voiced. I, the one who had mocked him, became the one silently judged. He, the man I had teased, now stood taller in everyone's eyes. At home, I tried to undo the damage. I cooked his favorite meals, apologized endlessly, and searched for ways to restore what we had. He didn't punish me with anger or harshness, but the distance between us was undeniable. He remained kind, polite even, but the warmth I had always known was gone. His silence became its own language, telling me that respect, once broken, isn't easily rebuilt. My punishment wasn't yelling or rage. It was the quiet withdrawal of a man who no longer felt the need to prove his worth to someone who had overlooked it. As weeks passed, my regret deepened. I noticed how others now described him, as strong, composed, admirable. Even his colleagues seemed to hold him in higher esteem. Meanwhile, I became the subject of hushed whispers, the wife who mocked her husband until his calm defiance silenced her. The balance between us had shifted, and I was the one diminished. One quiet evening, unable to bear the silence anymore, I asked if he still loved me. He didn't rush to respond. He simply looked at me with tired eyes, not angry, just honest. "Love isn't the question," he finally said. "Respect is. And when respect is gone, love doesn't last very long either." Those words struck harder than anything else. It was then that I understood. Love alone couldn't sustain us without the foundation of respect. From that moment, I began to change. Not out of fear of losing him, but because I finally grasped the weight of my own words. I stopped making jokes at his expense. I started seeing him for who he truly was, a man deserving of honor, care, and dignity. His calm sentence had done more than silence me. It reshaped the way I spoke, the way I treated him, the way I loved. Even years later, whenever our family gathers, the memory of that night lingers. No one dares to make such a joke again. He is regarded with a respect that wasn't there before. And when they look at me, there's always a subtle reminder of what I almost lost. That night at my sister's house remains etched in my memory, not as a joke gone wrong, but as the turning point when his quiet revenge forced me to face the truth. His strength was never in shouting or anger, but in calm dignity, the silence that made me see myself clearly for the first time. That single, steady sentence became the sharpest weapon I had ever faced. And it left me with a truth I can never forget. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't rage, it's silence.